Good morning. In today's lecture, we will try to see what are the basics of filtering in frequency domain and image smoothing in frequency domain. We will see what are the image smoothing filters in frequency domain. Right? Similarly, what is Laplacian in frequency domain, homomorphic filtering, and frequency domain techniques for image enhancement. So today, with this video lecture, we will try to conclude the second unit also. Okay. So in last class, we have studied about smoothing spatial linear filters. Now, in this video lecture, we will start with some preliminary concepts which are required for performing the smoothing. So in last class, we have studied about this preliminary concept. So for the first preliminary concept is a complex number. So we know that the complex number C can be defined as C equal to R plus Ji, where R is real part and I is imaginary part, and J is square root of -1. The conjugate of this complex number is C star, which is equal to R minus Gi. Coming to the magnitude of this complex number C, magnitude of C equal to square root of R square plus I square, and the theta equal to arc tan theta, that is tan inverse of imaginary part by real part, that is I by R. So in polar representation, this complex number C can be represented as C equal to magnitude of C into cos theta plus j sin theta. And using Euler's formula, you can write C equal to magnitude of C into e power j theta. Now coming to the impulses. So what is that impulse signal in continuous case as well as in discrete case? The unit impulse of a continuous variable t located at t equal to 0 denotes delta of t and is defined as delta of t equal to infinity if t equal to 0 and equal to 0 if t not equal to 0. So your unit impulse of a continuous variable t located at t equal to 0 denotes delta of t. Delta of t equal to infinity if t equal to 0. So unit impulse, that means the amplitude of the impulse signal is unity. Here in this definition is represented infinity. So that is for the impulse signal. For unit impulse signal, the amplitude is unity. And the constraint also to satisfy the identity, integral minus infinity to infinity delta of t into dt equal to 1. And we can also perform shifting operation on this impulse signal. So the shifting property, integral minus infinity to infinity f of t into delta of t into dt equal to f of naught. Or integral minus infinity to infinity f of t into delta of t minus t naught into dt equal to f of t naught. The impulse train generally is the sum of infinitely many periodic impulses which are spaced at delta t units apart. So impulse signal, that is impulse train, can be denoted as S delta t of t equal to summation n equal to minus infinity to infinity delta of t minus n delta t. And here is a second figure, that is for figure 4.3, an impulse train. And each impulse is located at a space of delta t. So a unit impulse of a discrete variable x located at x equal to 0 is denoted as delta of x, which is equal to 1 if x equal to 0 and equal to 0 if x not equal to 0. It also satisfies some identity, that is summation x equal to minus infinity to infinity delta of x equal to 1. Also discrete impulse signal satisfies the shifting summation x equal to minus infinity to infinity f of x into delta of x, which is equal to f of naught. Similarly, summation x equal to minus infinity to infinity f of x into delta of x minus x naught equal to f of x naught. Now let us see what is the Fourier transform function of a one continuous variable. So here I am considering one continuous variable, continuous function f of t. Fourier transform of this continuous function f of t equal to f of mu, which is equal to integral minus infinity to infinity f of t into e power minus j2 pi mu t into dt. And its inverse Fourier transform is ft inverse of f of mu, which is equal to f of t, which is equal to integral minus infinity to infinity f of mu into e power j2 pi mu t into d. And here is one example. So let us see what is the Fourier transform of the figure A. Figure A is a pulse, and whose amplitude is A, and the width of this pulse is W, because upper limit is W by 2 and lower limit is minus W by 2. So W by 2 minus of minus W by 2. Okay, so the width is W. For this, the spectrum will be f of mu. So if you see the spectrum f of mu, figure B, here you can see AW is the width of this spectrum f of mu. Here, the spectrum, all functions extended to infinity in both the direction will be represented in the second, that is figure C. And simply its Fourier transform is represented in the middle figure. Both are same, but only all frequency components are introduced in the last figure. So generally, the spectrum of this pulse having the width W is a sinc function. So the second figure or the third figure, both are sinc functions. So sinc function is similar to that of the sine, right? So AW of sine C of pi mu W is the Fourier transform of the given pulse whose height is A and the width is W. Next, come to the convolution. The convolution of the function f of t and h of t. These f of t and h of t are the two continuous functions. The convolution between these two is f of t star h of t. A star symbol indicates the symbol for the convolution, which is equal to integral minus infinity to infinity f of tau into h of t minus tau into d tau. Applying a Fourier transform for this, so what will happen? So they are multiplied, they are convolved in time domain. So their spectrums are multiplied in frequency domain. So what the convolution theorem says, if any two signals are convolved in time domain, that is f of t convolved with h of t, their spectrums are multiplied in frequency domain, that is h of mu into f of mu. So Fourier transform pairs are f of t star h of t is the Fourier transform pair of h of mu into f of mu. Or if any two functions are multiplied in time domain, you can see here f of t into h of t multiplied in time domain, their spectrums are convolved in frequency domain. So we can say when we are dealing with the convolution, we should know about two things. So if convolution is present in one domain, the opposite domain, in the opposite domain we have a multiplication. So there is a relation between the convolution and multiplication. So what is that relation? Suppose if multiplication is present in one domain, in opposite domain convolution is present. That means multiplication is equal to convolution when they are present in the opposite domain. For example, if convolution is present in time domain, multiplication is present in the frequency domain. If multiplication is present in the time domain, convolution is present in the frequency domain. Now consider two discrete functions, x of n and h of n. Then the convolution between these two is x of n star h of n, which is equal to k equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k into h of n minus k. Now apply the Fourier transform f of t, x of n convolve with h of n, which is equal to summation k equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k into h of n minus k, which is equal to x of k into h of k. If they are multiplied in time in the time domain, then the Fourier transform is x of n into h of n, which is equal to x of k star h of k. That means we are just applying the convolution for the discrete case also. In discrete domain also the same thing. If you are performing the convolution in time domain means that is equal to multiplication in frequency domain. If you are performing the multiplication in time domain, that means which is equal to convolution in the frequency domain. So the relationship between the convolution and multiplication. Coming to the sampling. So we know very well what is the sampling. It is the process of converting the continuous time signal into a discrete time signal. Consider the function f of t. If we sample this f of t at a uniform interval delta t with a train of impulse signal as shown below, then the sampled signal is f bar of t, which is equal to fs f of t sampled at delta t, which is equal to summation n equal to minus infinity f of t into delta of t minus n delta t. So here is a waveform. First figure f of t, and second figure is a periodic train signal. Okay, and these two signals are multiplied, and the third signal we will get. The third signal is a sampled function found as a product of first two figures. And what about the last one? Sampled values obtained by integrating and using shifting property of the impulse. So after integration, we will get the last figure. Third figure is because of multiplication of first two figures. Next, the Fourier transform of a sampled function. So here is a sampled function. What is sampled function? S delta t. Then what is the Fourier transform of that sampled signal? Here is a derivation. So consider the sampled signal f bar of t, which is equal to f of t into delta s of t, where delta s of t is a periodic impulse train with a period equal to t. At the Fourier transform of a periodic signal, delta s of t be s of mu, then s of mu is given by 1 by t summation minus infinity to infinity delta of mu minus nt, and f bar of mu is equal to Fourier transform of f bar of t, which is equal to Fourier transform of f of t into delta s of t. So here multiplication is doing in between impulse train and the original signal. So that represents the convolution in frequency term. That's why f of mu star s of mu. So individually we have to take what is f of mu and s of mu, and we need to derive the convolution between those two. If we derive, we'll get this formula 1 by t summation n equal to minus infinity to infinity f of mu minus nt. Next, coming to the two-dimensional continuous Fourier transform pair. For example, f of t comma z is a continuous function of two continuous variables t and z. Then two-dimensional continuous Fourier transform pair will be f of mu comma v, which is equal to integral, that is double integral minus infinity to infinity f of t comma z e power minus j2 pi mu t plus vz dt into dz. And f of t comma z, that is inverse 2D Fourier transformation. In double integral minus infinity to infinity f of mu comma v e power j2 pi mu t plus vz into d mu into dv. Next, the relation between the spatial intervals and frequency intervals. Generally, spatial interval is the delta t, and the frequency interval is delta u. So delta u equal to 1 by m into delta t. Similarly, delta v equal to 1 by n into delta z. So there is a relation between the spatial interval. So spatial interval is delta u. Frequency interval is delta u. Delta t is a spatial interval. Delta z is a spatial interval. Delta v is frequency interval. So the relation between the frequency interval and spatial interval. So frequency interval delta v equal to 1 by capital M into delta t. Similarly, delta v equal to 1 by capital M into delta z. Now, so here is the important topic. What are the basic steps for filtering in frequency domain? Okay, so in order to perform the filtering in frequency domain, so we need to follow some of the basic steps. The first one is the pre-processing. After that, Fourier transform, filtering function, inverse Fourier transform, post-processing. So here, filtering in frequency domain consisting of modifying the frequency transform of an image and then computing the inverse transformation to obtain the processed image. The basic model for filtering in frequency domain for giving a digital image f of x comma y of size mn is shown below. So this is the basic diagram for performing the frequency domain filtering operation. That means how to perform the filtering operation in frequency domain. With this block diagram, you can perform filtering operation frequency domain. First, we have to take the input image f of x comma y. So we need to do the pre-processing. So given digital input image is f of x comma y of size mn, the basic filtering equation is g of x comma y, which is equal to idft of g of u comma v, which is equal to idft of h of u comma v into f of u comma v, where f of u comma v is the Fourier transform of the image to be smoothened, and h of u comma v is a filtered function. So DFT is a complex array, so we can express it in imaginary and a real part as follow. So g of x comma y equal to idft of g of u comma v, which is equal to idft of h of u comma v into r of u comma v plus j into h of u comma v into I of u comma v. So here h of u comma v is a filter transfer function. It allows low frequencies, then it is called low pass filter. If it allows the high frequency, then the filter is called high pass filter. If the filter affects the real and imaginary parts equally and having no effect on the phase, means that filter is called zero phase shift filtering. So here, especially, we need to concentrate on the two things: pre-processing. Okay. So what is this pre-processing? So why the pre-processing is required in case of this filtering in frequency domain? So here, using pre-processing, any unwanted frequency components are present before performing the Fourier transformation can be removed. So similarly, post-processing. So any unwanted frequency components after performing the inverse Fourier transformation, so those unwanted components can be removed. So the remaining thing is we need to apply the Fourier transform to the input f of x comma y. We'll get f of u v, and f of u comma v is multiplied with the filter function h of u v. So output of the filter function is h of u v into f of u v, and if you apply inverse Fourier transform on h of u comma v into f of u comma v, will get the enhanced image after post processing, that is g of x comma y. So first of all, let us see the correspondence between the filters. Here, correspondence between the filtering in spatial domain as well as frequency domain. Here, in order to understand what is the how the filter will be in spatial domain and frequency domain, I was consider a low pass filter. Okay, so figure A is a Gaussian frequency domain low pass filter, and figure B is a Gaussian frequency domain high pass filter. So it is a low pass filter, and this is the high pass filter. So first of all, you see h of u, that is spatial domain, frequency domain. H of x indicates spatial domain. So this is the low pass filter transfer characteristics in frequency domain. Its corresponding spatial domain is h of x. Okay, this is the high pass filter, and the characteristics of this high pass filter will be like this. In spatial domain, the high pass filter will be looking like this, and these are the masks for low pass filter, and these are the masks for the high pass filter. Next, image smoothing using frequency domain filter. So generally, edge and other sharp intensity transitions such as noise in an image contributes a significant high frequency content of its Fourier transform. So smoothing, that is blurring, is achieved in frequency domain by using high frequency attenuation. So high frequency attenuation can be done with low pass filtering. So please try to remember, smoothing filters are nothing but low pass filters. Okay, so smoothing filters are nothing but low pass filter. The basic model for filtering in frequency domain is g of u comma v, which is equal to h of u comma v into f of u comma v. We will move to the filtering in frequency domain. This is the filtering in frequency domain. So here, suppose in the filter function, so h of u comma v, if we place a low pass filter, then this block diagram is used for the purpose of smoothing. That means this block diagram will become as a smoothing function. Okay. So where f of u comma is the Fourier transform of the image to be smoothened, and h of u comma v is a filter transfer function. Next, coming to the smoothing. So smoothing is the fundamentally a low pass operation in frequency domain. So h of u comma v, a filter transfer function which performs low pass operation for smoothing. So there are three different types of low pass filters. You can say ideal low pass filter, Butterworth low pass filter, Gaussian low pass filter. These are the three low pass filter. So here is one of the advantage thing is, if you know the low pass filter, we can able to construct the high pass filter. So low pass filters in image processing are the smoothing filters. So what are the smoothing filters mean? The smoothing filters are ideal low pass filter, Butterworth low pass filter, and Gaussian low pass filter are the smoothing low pass filters in frequency domain. Okay, in frequency domain, especially I am discussing about the filtering in frequency domain. So in frequency domain, what are the smoothing filter? The smoothing filters will be ideal low pass filter, Butterworth low pass filter, and Gaussian low pass. These filters can covers the range from very sharp, that is ideal, to the very smooth, that is the Gaussian smoothing. So for higher order, in higher order N, the Butterworth low pass filter approaches to the ideal LPF. For lower order N, the Butterworth low pass filter approaches to the Gaussian filter. Okay, so ideal filter, Gaussian filter. In between these two, we have a Butterworth low pass filter. Based on the order of this Butterworth filter may be become ideal filter, or it may be become as a Gaussian filter. So we will try to define what is the filter function, transfer function of the ideal low pass filter. That is h of u comma v, which is equal to 1 and equal to 0 if d of u comma v is less than equal to d naught, and equal to 0 if d of u comma v is greater than 0. So this is the definition of ideal low pass filter transfer function. So a two-dimensional low pass filter that passes all frequencies. Sorry, a two-dimensional low pass filter that passes all frequencies which are in the circle having the radius equal to d naught without attenuating, and cut off all the other frequencies outside the circle having the radius equal to d naught is called ideal low pass filter. So here one thing you have to remember. So here two-dimensional low pass filter, how it passes the frequency means we have to take a circle whose radius equal to d naught. The frequencies which are present inside the d naught will be passed, and the frequencies which are present outside the circle having the radius equal to d naught will not be passed by the ideal low pass filter. That's why the definition is h of u comma v equal to 1 if d of u comma v is less than equal to d naught. Where d of u comma v is the distance from point u of u, distance from the point u comma v to the center of their frequency rectangle. That is d of u comma v equal to u minus p by 2 whole square plus v minus q by 2 whole square whole power 1 by 2. P into q is the size of h of u comma v, and u equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on p minus 1, and v equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on q minus 1. Next, coming to the ideal low pass filter characteristics. So you can see here three figures are there. The first figure is the perspective plot. We can say this is the perspective plot of the ideal low pass filter. This is a u direction and this is a y direction, and on top we have a h of u comma v. This plot is called perspective plot. And coming to the middle one, that is the filter displayed as an image. So if you see inside the circle we have a white color. That means that the frequencies are passed. And whatever the black region, so those frequencies will not be passed with the filter. So it is looking like a image. Okay, so image, that means filter displaying as image. Next, last one is a well-known one. We know very well the transfer characteristics of the low pass filter. Up to d naught it passes, and after the d naught it won't passes any frequencies. Next, perspective plot. So here is a two things you have to understand. The first one is the perspective plot, and the last one is called a radial cross section. So middle one is the filter which is displaying as a image. So here, what is this perspective plot? The art of representing the three-dimensional objects on a two-dimensional surface so as to give the right impression of their height, width, depth, position in relation to each other. So that is called perspective plot. What about the radial cross section? When section is cut parallel to the long axis and is passed through the radius of axis, then it is called radial section, that is stem. So the radial section is the last figure, is the radial section. Okay. So next, ideal low pass is symmetrical about origin radially, which means that the filter is completely defined by the radial cross section. Rotating the radial cross section by 360 degrees yields the filter in 2D. That means you can see the last figure. If we rotate this last figure over 360 degrees, it looks like the first figure. So that is our perspective plot. Okay. So next, here d naught is the cutoff frequency. The point of transition between h of u comma v equal to 1 and h of u comma equal to 0 is called d naught. Next, P of u comma v is the power spectrum of low pass filter. Then the total image power Pt can be defined as Pt equal to summation u equal to 0 to p minus 1, summation v equal to 0 to q minus 1, P of u comma v. So if DFT has been centered, a circle of radius d naught with the origin at center of cutoff frequency rectangle enclosing the alpha percentage of power given by alpha equal to 100 into summation u and summation v, P of u comma v by Pt. Next, coming to the Butterworth filter. So this is the Butterworth low pass filter. The definition of Butterworth low pass filter is h of u comma v, which is equal to 1 by 1 plus d of u comma v by d naught whole power 2n. And the first one is it is a perspective plot, and the second one that is the Butterworth filter as an image. The last one is the radial cross sections of the Butterworth filter for various values of n. N is the order of the Butterworth filter. So h of u comma v will get a maximum value, that is unity, if d of u comma v equal to d naught. For higher order n, the Butterworth low pass filter approaches to ideal low pass filter. For lower values of the order of the Butterworth filter n, the low pass filter approaches to Butterworth low pass filter approaches to the Gaussian low pass filter. So Gaussian low pass filter GLPFS transfer function can be defined as h of u comma v equal to e power minus d square by d square of u comma v by 2 sigma square. Sigma is the measure of spread about the center. If sigma equal to d naught, then it will be h of u comma v equal to e power minus d square of u comma v by 2 d naught square. D naught is the cutoff frequency. So when d of u comma v equal to d naught, the Gaussian low pass filter is down to the 0.607 of its maximum value, and Gaussian low pass filter achieved slightly less smooth than the low pass filter, Butterworth low pass filter of order n equal to 2 for the same value of cutoff frequency. And these are the perspective plot and the image of a Gaussian low pass filter and the radial cross sections of the Gaussian low pass filter for various values of d naught. D naught equal to 10, d naught equal to 20, 40, and d naught equal to 100. Next, coming to the sharpening filter. So earlier we have studied smoothing filters. So what are the smoothing filters? We will come to know the smoothing filters will be low pass filters, right? Ideal low pass filter, Butterworth low pass filter, Gaussian low pass filter. Now coming to the sharpening filters. So sharpening filters are nothing but high pass filters. Okay? So smoothing filters are low pass filters. Sharpening filters are the high pass filter. Now how to obtain a high pass filter? If you know the low pass filter, high pass filter will be high pass filter equal to 1 minus low pass filter we can obtain. So image sharpening can be in frequency domain using high pass filtering, which attenuates low frequency components without disturbing the high frequency components. So high pass filtering can be obtained using the following relation, that is h of hp of u comma v equal to 1 minus hlp of u comma v. So there are three types of image sharpening filter similar to that of the image smoothing filter. So we have a ideal low pass filter there. Now here we have ideal high pass filter. Similarly, Butterworth high pass filter, Gaussian high pass filter. These are the perspective plots and the image of the filter, corresponding filters, and the radial cross sections of the corresponding filter. The first one is the ideal high pass filter, and the definition of ideal high pass filter is h of u comma v equal to 0 if d of u comma v is less than equal to d naught, and equal to 1 if d of u comma v is greater than d naught. Similarly, for the Butterworth high pass filter, h of u comma v equal to 1 by 1 plus d naught by d of u comma v whole power 2n, and the Gaussian high pass filter h of u comma v equal to 1 minus e power minus d square of u comma v by 2 d naught square. So next, one of the most important operator in image processing is the Laplacian operator. So the Laplacian is implemented using the following filter, whose transfer function is h of u comma v equal to minus 4 pi square v square plus u square, or h of u comma equal to minus 4 pi square u minus v by 2 whole power 2 plus v minus q by 2 whole power 2. So with respect to the center of the frequency rectangle, h of u comma v equal to minus 4 pi square d square of u comma v. So the Laplacian of the image can be obtained del square f of x comma y. And this del square f of x comma y can be defined as IDFT of h of u comma v into f of u comma v. So that is g of x comma y equal to f of x comma y plus c into del square of f of x comma y. Here c equal to -1 because h of u comma y is a negative. So in frequency domain, the above equation can be written as g of x comma y equal to idft of 1 plus 4 pi square d square of u comma v into f of u comma v. So unsharp masking, high boost filtering, and high frequency emphasize filtering. So what is unmasked filtering? The first filter mask can be defined as g mask of x comma y, which is equal to f of x comma y minus FLP of x comma y. FLP, low pass filter. So where f of x comma y is the original and FLP is a smoothed image, because a smoothed image, low pass filter image means FLP of x comma y is nothing but smoothed image. So which is equal to IDFT of HLP of u comma v into f of u comma v. So if we add a weighted portion of the mask back to the original image to get a filtered image, we will get a g of x comma y, which is equal to f of x comma y plus k star into g mask of x comma y. When k equal to 1, especially you need to concentrate on this equation g of x comma y, which is equal to f of x comma y plus k into g mask of x comma y. In that equation, if k equal to 1, the above equation is called unsharp masking. K greater than 1, the above equation will be high boost filtering. In terms of the frequency domain computations, low pass filter g of x comma y, which is equal to IDFT of 1 plus k star, that is 1 minus HLP of u comma v into f of u comma v. High pass filter g of x comma v equal to IDFT of 1 plus k star HHP of u comma v into f of u comma v. Here 1 plus k into HHP of u comma v is called high frequency emphasize filter. Next, coming to the one of the most important topic, that is homomorphic filtering. So if you see this homomorphic filtering, so what are the major blocks of this homomorphic filtering? First of all, f of x comma y, and which is equal to, sorry, f of x comma y is applied to the ln. So what is ln? Natural logarithm. Okay. So we need to perform the natural logarithm on the image first. After that, DFT we need to perform. After performing the DFT, we need to multiply the result with the h of u comma v. And after multiplying, we need to find out the inverse DFT. After that, we need to find out the exponential of that inverse DFT component. Finally, we will get a g of x comma y, which is the enhanced image. So input image can be enhanced by performing all these steps: natural logarithm, DFT, filtering, and IDFT, and exponential. So f of x comma y equal to I of x comma y into R of x comma y. We know very well image can be defined in terms of illumination component as well as the reflectance component. So when we defined the given component as a illumination component and reflectance component, this equation cannot be operated directly in the frequency component, because the Fourier transform of the product is not the product of the Fourier transform. So here you can see the derivation. DFT of f of x comma y is not equal to DFT of I of x comma y into DFT of R of x comma. Suppose that if you define z of x comma y equal to ln of f of x comma y, and ln of I of x comma y into ln of R of x comma y. Now DFT of the above equation will be DFT of z of x comma y equal to DFT of ln of f of x comma y, which is equal to DFT of ln of I of x comma y plus DFT of ln of R of x comma y. And I am assuming that DFT of ln of I of x comma y will be fi of u comma v, and for DFT of ln of R of x comma y reflectance component will be R of u comma v. So we can filter z of u comma v using h. So s of u comma v equal to z of u comma v into h of u comma v. We need to substitute z of u comma v, that is fi of u comma v plus fr of u comma v, so that s of u comma v equal to fi of u comma v into h of u comma v plus fr of u comma v into h of u comma v we will get. So after manipulation, so one thing you have to remember. So again here illumination component and reflectance components we need to find out. Output illumination component will be e power input, so I dash of x comma y. Similarly, R reflectance component will be R dash of x comma y, that is e of e power R dash of x comma y will be reflectance component. So processed image g of x comma y is also in terms of illumination component and reflectance component. Illumination component is I naught of x comma y, and reflectance component will be I naught of r naught of x comma y. Similarly, selective filtering. So there are different types of selective filters. So there are two categories mainly. We can say selective filters will be band pass filters and band reject filter. That is the first category. And second category will be the notch filter. So the expression for the ideal Butterworth Gaussian band reject filters are, so these are the ideal band reject filters. H of u comma equal to 0 and 1 if d naught minus w by 2 less than equal to d less than equal to d naught plus w by 2. Similarly for the Butterworth filter, and similarly for the Gaussian filter also. Actually, these equations are the definitions of the first category filters called band reject filters. Okay, so here these are the band reject filters. The next coming to the band pass filter. Once if you know the band reject filter, 1 minus band reject filter will gives you the band pass filter. So this is the first band pass filter showing as an image. The first one is a band reject filter, Gaussian filter. And second one is the band pass filter. So this is the band pass filter, and the first one is the band reject filter. Similarly, notch filter. So this is the definition of notch filter. Notch reject we have, and a notch pass we have. And the notch reject filter will be h nr of u comma v pi k equal to 1 to q hk of u comma v and h minus k of u comma v. So here one thing you have to understand. If you know the notch rejection filter, the notch pass filter can be obtained with 1 minus notch reject. Okay. So frequency domain techniques for image enhancement, already we have studied all these things: intensity level slicing, bit extractions, digital negative, flipping, thresholding, contrast stretching. And so with this, we can conclude our second unit. So the main thing is come out the important topics in this chapter. We need to concentrate mainly on the homomorphic filtering. Okay? That is one of the important questions. What is homomorphic filtering? And similarly, histogram. So there is some histogram processing. So histogram processing is one of the major topic, and one of the most important topic are the point processing techniques. So these are the point processing techniques. So students need to get knowledge about what are the point processing techniques, because point processing techniques are very important in this chapter particularly. Okay, thank you.